Okay, so I have called this story Cesair Shaping the Clay. I was the first to come to this land. Mine were the first feet to sink into the deep green moss, hidden from the sun by ancient trees alight with birdsong. The first to see fish leap through rivers like rainbows, to hear the forests lurk with wolves who knew the world without a human shape. The caves echoed, the sea boomed, and nothing that I saw needed anything I could bring. Though I stayed to listen to the ground, the wind, the water, the silence in the mountains, and I wondered at that peculiar slant of light, a half-light I had never seen before. It was warning me that my first step would violate flawlessness. My second would be the beginning of a path that would disturb perfection as it travelled into story and tragedy. I had come from a place where we had vexed the God who said he made us, who was making chaos to discard all but those who would rise to the top like cream from the milk of a cow. God had spoken to his chosen one, and that was Noah, who was my grandfather. He told him he would send a flood, then gave him his instructions. Make an ark, set sail above it all, bring human and beast in perfect pairs to procreate anew. So Noah set to the task of making choices. Righteous man and righteous woman, animals full of health, tame and wild, went too, and I, the granddaughter of Noah, who was still complete in myself, still sensing for myself as I had made no union with another, was left behind to die or to find my own way. Many forsook Noah's God for the sake of life itself, and I did too. I proceeded with my own counsel. Cesair made a boat. Cesair set herself free from restraining goodness. Cesair made her fate. Cesair is my name. Those that I brought with me were 49 sisters and 3 brothers. I said to them, do not come without your own sacred accompaniments. Bring talismans to witness the souls inside yourselves, because you will need a second sight upon this fateful quest. The God they knew had forsaken them, but their journeys were their own to make. And for good or bad, a journey makes a story. A woman is a story, and so is a man. Both separate and together we made our way, not knowing what fate would bring. All the way from there we fled, forsaking the God of Noah and the golden iron of Meroe. From the Nile waters to the Sea of Reeds, and for 18 days lost and almost dead on the great green, until we came upon the golden suns and shadows of the Tyrrhenian Sea. There we passed by the wealth of people gathered to point us out from the comfort of their dogmas. On again to the sometimes cruel waters of the North Great Sea, and then one fateful day we found a fair and untouched land, free from beasts of greed and mountains of fire. And the promise was fulfilled in the seeing. I smiled when I saw its shores, as if they were part of me. I was like a new wave, crisp and white, that made me fresher to look upon. The sun was setting, and the colour of the world was changing as we approached. And we rejoiced because we were fulfilling a promise that had suffered chance all along the way. We pressed our feet into the land and stopped in sacred naming, for to name it as we were on it was all we would ever do to harm it. When we came upon 3 sister rivers, we separated. I and my sisters and brothers saw it as a sign that we would split our group into 3 to make our parting into a flowing thing. The men who had travelled with us were Fintan MacBocra, who went with 17 women. 17 went also with Bith, then 16 with Lyra, and though Lyra did complain, he did his best for them, and died doing that in Ard Lauren, called after him who was the first man to die in Ireland. The women who had gone with him came back to me. I divided us again in equal numbers, and we made our ways as best we could, for alas, upon the men were the tasks of many, and so bit died too in Slieve Behe. And the women made a slow bit died too, and the women made a stone heap over his body, then called it Slieve Beg. Afterwards they returned to me. We were 50 women again with only one man. And since Bith and Lyra were dead, Fintan forsook us, for he saw with his second sight what we did not. I see it now, but at that time I was blinded by a woman's love for a man. I had been loved by him on the soft moss of that country, and it was as if I had been loved by the wind himself. Fintan, the man whose face held all the feelings of humankind, whose smile sang all the way from his hard bones, and who would burst my heart because I could not fully bear all that it contained. To look into Fintan's eyes were like seeing all the colours of a long sunset. The lines on his face told stories of how gravely he had walked the earth. The shape and contours of those lines wrote compassion that he beamed on me and everyone and everything. Without him, I went to cool Cesair. Without sun for my earth, I was lost. He left me with a heart that was an open wound. All of my quest, so full of toil, was over, and nothing could help me to stay in the world without him. The weathering of storms, hunger and thirst had ended in joy, only to be thrown into tragedy and death with no mercy. The women buried me there, and named that place where I lay Cesair. Fintan, in parting from me, also parted from the world as we had known it, but he did not die. He was too old to ever die, and so he went as a changeling would, from salmon to eagle to hawk, from river to lake, flowing through streams, flying over mountains, living with air as well as water, and to come again with wisdom grown beyond all reckoning. Sadly, for the rest, the flood of the world was to follow, and it washed away the women who had not the sense to die before being drowned. All we left behind were the places we had named, the spirit of Fintan flowing through it, and I lying in it. I departed from thought then, but I am returned to tell it now, to bring life to the ground again in places where silence can be heard, where everything is connected and everything is life, where rivers form like veins in sisterhood to share their blood, their water, and death. Look, the sun is behind the clouds. It's warmer than it's been for a while. Look again. You can see me emerge from the ploughed earth in girl-shaped wisps. Today is a perfect day for it, and though I am always here, I am not always seen as shapely as this. He has called me out. His rays warm me, the clouds shade me. It is perfect for me to be seen like this. The wisps of air dancing on the earth are me. I am dancing this island's dance, shaping the very clay. Everything is united and drawn together. Look, they're pairing even as I speak. The stallion is in the mare, the bull is in the cow, the wolf is in the she, and the sun is in the ground, warming beauty, as I continue to watch the worm air the soil of Cesair, having named it with my mortal death.